are in the process of hearing this complaint. The Ethics Committee, I think everyone knows from our last meeting, our teleconference, that what the purpose is here. We tried to clarify that at that time. We do have before us the minutes of that meeting, and that is now up to the committee for approval of those. Representative Killen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move to approve the minutes as read with the exception of page 4. 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph down, fourth line. I believe we have a typo. The word brief, I think, is misspelled.
With that having been noted, with that correction, is there discussion on the motion to approve as amended? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. The minutes are approved. The next thing on our agenda is to talk a little bit about Article 3, Section 7 of the Idaho Constitution, and any questions that the committee might have about that. In reviewing the documents that were forwarded to each member of the committee by Mr. Kane as to some of those issues, we know that that there is a live proceeding right now on this very issue, and as it pertains to this particular item in the complaint, it's valuable for us to know that no matter what our involvement as an ethics committee would be in that, we would be interfering with an ongoing court case, which is a dangerous place for us to be. So in our proceedings today, we're going to be extremely careful in not looking at issues having to do with that particular part of the complaint. And that's that we don't want to cloud the issue one way or the other about that particular item. We do have Representative Saylor. Welcome, Representative Saylor, to the committee. He's joining us by phone. Was unable to make it today. So with that in mind, we've got to be extremely careful that we don't interfere with that pending court case. Still is a live proceeding, and we don't want to cloud that one way or the other. So with that in mind, we should be extremely cautious in how we approach this. Are there any questions from the committee about that issue? Okay, then let's move on to the next item, which is a discussion about the conflict arising out of any potential conflict that may have arisen out of Rule 38, House Rule 38. Are there questions of the committee before we start about how we are going to look at that and what that may all involve? Mr. Kane has supplied to us, and I hope you've had a chance to read these things in at length about what occurred during the last legislative session with regard to Representative Harts not at any time having declared Rule 38. So if we look at those documents and try to resolve in our minds at least where there may be questions, are there questions of the committee about those issues?
Mr. Chairman?
Representative Killen.
Perhaps Mr. Kane could clarify. I did review those. I did not see, and perhaps I'm missing it, and that's my question, any reference to the Rules Subcommittee action.
Mr. Kane?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Killen, if you look at, I believe it's tab 13, which is excerpts of committee minutes, the rules discussion is contained within there.
If I may follow up.
Please do, Representative Killen.
I did see that, but I guess I was referring to the subcommittee, the rules subcommittee. This appears to be the full committee. Am I mistaken?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Killen, no.
Okay.
We didn't have any subcommittees proceedings.
Are there any items within those?
Mr. Chairman,
Representative Saylor?
thank you. I have a question for Mr. King regarding Rule 501. And that was one that Mr. Hart, Representative Hart, recommended approval, but he had said that his case was past that point because he was already to the point of appeal. Had he won his appeal, or if he were to win his appeal, would he be back at this point then, where that rule would apply, or would that be irrelevant?
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Saylor, I think that is one of those questions that is probably best addressed by representatives from the Tax Commission, because I'm not familiar with the posture of that case or any of those sorts of instances. The other key to remember in analyzing these issues is that even though it's a rule that may potentially impact Representative Hart, in the conflict analysis, you have to also ask the question of, is it representing, or is it impacting Representative Hart as a member of a discrete group of individuals, or is it impacting Representative Hart as a member of the entire class of taxpayers? And so the question is, in what way does it impact him, which would require then a Rule 38 disclosure? And just so for the committee's information, we do have Deputy Attorney General Eric Shaner and Dan John from the Tax Commission here to discuss what they are able to discuss without breaching any of the confidentiality requirements.
Mr. Chairman, perhaps Mr. John could address that question.
Mr. John, would you like to step forward?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Saylor, if Representative Hart were to prevail in his tax appeal at the Board of Tax Appeals, there would not be an issue with that rule, because if he were to prevail at the Board of Tax Appeals, he would not owe the tax that has been asserted.
All right, thank you.
Representative Jacob?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if Mr. John would question.
Mr. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Mr. John. Could you just go through the timeline for me on that temporary rule? There were temporary rules issued, and then the legislature considered them and then adopted them at this last session. Is that the timeline? Can you help me understand that timeline?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Jacob, during the 2008 legislative session, there was some review of the procedures used by the Tax Commission in settlement agreements, and the statute was modified, and we were directed to draft rules dealing with that. What we did is we wrote an emergency rule that went into effect, and then we came to the 2009 legislative body with a permanent rule, or permanent rules, which were rules 500 and 501, dealing with settlements of tax cases, mainly in excess of $50,000.
And just as a follow-up, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Jacob?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, did Representative Hart Representative Hart participate in meetings with the Tax Commission on the drafting of the rule?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Jake Webb, I don't believe so. I don't think there was any interaction with Representative Hart until the rules came before the subcommittee.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions on that particular item? Are there any other instances that the committee has question about on with regard to